Donald Trump said he would impose new tariffs on America's three largest trading partners. That's where we're starting the 7 from the Washington Post. I'm Hannah Jewell. It's Tuesday, November 26th. Let's get you caught up with today's 7 stories. The president-elect said yesterday he will issue executive orders imposing tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China. A tariff is basically a tax on imported goods. He said Mexican and Canadian goods would face tariffs of 25%, and Chinese merchandise would get a 10% tariff. Trump said the move was aimed at halting what he called an invasion of drugs and migrants into the U.S. Tariffs are paid by the companies that bring in imports, but the cost is often passed on to American consumers. Economists warn this could affect grocery prices, which were a key issue in the presidential election. The three countries do more than $2 trillion in trade with the U.S. Imports from Mexico include cars, machinery, electrical equipment, food, and beer. Canada supplies oil and gas, machinery, parts, and much more. The U.S. relies on China for electronics, especially phones, along with toys, furniture, and plastics. Trump said these tariffs would be one of his first actions on Inauguration Day. That's January 20th. Number 2. A judge dismissed federal election obstruction charges against Donald Trump. Special counsel Jack Smith asked for this criminal case to be dropped. He defended the merits of the case, but he said a Justice Department policy that prohibits prosecuting a sitting president made it impossible to proceed. Separately, Smith sought permission to abandon his other federal case against Trump. That case involves Trump's alleged mishandling of classified documents. Together, the two motions essentially marked the end of the Justice Department's first federal prosecutions of a former president. The historic cases never went to trial. It's a triumph of a remarkable strategy by Trump and his lawyers. All along, Trump seemed to understand that his best hope for avoiding trials was to win the presidency again. Number 3. Israel's government is considering a ceasefire deal with Hezbollah. Israel's security cabinet is expected to meet today to discuss a U.S.-backed ceasefire plan. The agreement would halt the fighting in Lebanon between Israeli forces and the militant group Hezbollah. It follows weeks of intense negotiations. White House National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby told the press yesterday that a deal was getting closer, despite a recent escalation in attacks by both sides.
We believe that the trajectory of this is going in a very positive direction. But again, nothing is done until everything is done. Nothing's all negotiated till everything is negotiated. And, we need to keep at the work to see it through so that we can actually get the ceasefire for which we've been working for so long and so hard.
This deal is not finalized, and some in Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government oppose it. Israel's national security minister said a ceasefire would be a, quote, historic missed opportunity to eradicate Hezbollah. Don't let number 4 give you any ideas. Macy's said an employee hid as much as $154 million in expenses. The department store chain said yesterday that one of its workers used false accounting entries to hide delivery expenses over a 3-year period. The person is no longer an employee of Macy's. The retailer delayed the release of its third-quarter earnings until next month to allow it to complete its investigation of the incident. The earnings report was meant to come out today. The company's chief executive said Macy's values a culture of ethical conduct. Medicare could expand access to weight loss drugs. That's our 5th story. Under current rules, Medicare does not cover weight loss medication, although many Medicare recipients receive drugs such as Ozempic to treat diabetes and heart disease. But this morning, the Biden administration will propose extending coverage of anti-obesity medications to 7.5 million people enrolled in Medicare and Medicaid. The pressure will soon be on the Trump administration to finalize this proposal. But Trump's pick to lead the Department of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., is highly critical of weight loss drugs, so it's unclear what will happen. Utilities are building batteries big enough to compete with coal and gas plants. That's number 6. Clean energy from solar and wind power is more abundant than ever. For example, Japan's northernmost Hokkaido island has enough wind energy to power itself and send energy elsewhere in the country. But it can't harness all of that power unless it has a way to store energy to use it when the wind doesn't blow. A new generation of giant batteries could help solve that problem. They're known as flow batteries, and they work by stockpiling energy in giant tanks of metallic liquid. The technology is relatively new and expensive, but it's a critical step to reducing the use of fossil fuels and lowering planet-warming emissions. And I'm so sorry about number 7. But it may be a soggy, snowy Thanksgiving for some. As you douse your turkey with gravy on Thanksgiving, Mother Nature will be busy dousing millions of people in the Northeast with wet weather. In some places, that might at least be pretty. Parts of New England could be blanketed with snow. The heaviest snow is possible in northern New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. And that could complicate travel for millions of people. So make sure you've done your homework on dealing with delayed and canceled flights. In our newsletter today, you can find the full Thanksgiving forecast and tips for how to deal with holiday travel irritations. Just follow the link in our show notes, and good luck out there. All right, you're all caught up. For your next listen, check out our afternoon news podcast, Post Reports. That's where my colleagues from around the newsroom dive deeper into the biggest issues of the day. Yesterday's episode asked the question, can RFK Jr. make America healthy again? Find the answer and everything else Post Reports does wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget to rate and subscribe to the show. I'm Hannah Jewell. I'll meet you back here tomorrow.